Leader of majority and a member of this committee.
My name is John Badi. I'm the Member of Parliament for Suba South and the Leader of Minority in the National Assembly.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Honorable Kosin, MP for Pokot South, Chair Transport, and member of this committee.
David Olasankok, nominee 001, representing person with disability in the National Assembly, a member of this esteemed committee.
My name is Elisha Obiambo, the MP for Game, and a friend to this committee.
I'm Joyce Amanikor, MP Turkana County, and a member of this committee.
My name is Joshua Kimilu, Member of Parliament, Kaiti constituency. I'm a member of this committee.
My name is Esther Pasaris. I'm a member of this committee and a county woman representative for Nairobi County.
My name is Hatiba Bella Mashetani, Member of Parliament Lunga Lunga, and the Vice Chair of Lands Committee, and at the same time a member of this committee.
Dr. Rachel Nyamai, Member of Parliament for Kitui South, Chair Lands Committee, and also a member of this committee. My name is Sarah Korere, Member of National Assembly, Member for Laikipia North constituency, and a member of this committee.
I'm Cecily Mbarire. I'm nominated Member of Parliament. I'm also Deputy Majority and a member of this committee.
My name is Yusuf Hassan. I am the MP for Kamkunji, Nairobi County. From all community of my as of the
Gertrude.
Sorry.
The problem with the public system.
No.
One mic is on, the rest.
TJ Kajwang, Waraka. Is on?
Benjamin Jomo Washari is my name. I represent the people of Mumias East in the National Assembly. I'm a member of this committee. At the same time, I'm the Chief Whip, Majority Party.
Jimmy Angwenyi, Member of Parliament for Turjacha North, Deputy Majority Leader, and a member of this committee.
I'm Robert Mbui, Member of Parliament for Kadiani constituency and the Deputy Leader of the Minority Party.
Dr. David Eseli Simiyu, Member for Tongaren constituency and a member of this committee.
Kimani Ishongwa, Member of Parliament Kikuyu, Chair Budget and Appropriations Committee, and a member of this committee.
Well, to my immediate left is Ms. Florence Abonyo, Director Committee Services in the National Assembly and head of the Secretariat that is handling affairs of this committee. She will be assisting us with various items. We will begin Professor Magoha, we would want you to introduce yourselves to us. Tell us who George Magoha is. And having been nominated to the position of Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Education, whether you think you are suitable and qualified sufficiently to superintend the said ministry. And based on your resume that you submitted to us, you have experience spanning well over 31 years in academia, medicine, surgery, public service, and perhaps tell us, given all that, what you consider as your most significant achievements. And if appointed to this position, how do you, in your view, think that your vast experience will contribute to serving this nation in that capacity and in that particular docket? Over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir, honorable members of Parliament. I'm Professor George Albert Omore Magoha. I was born some 52 years ago in Kisumu East, the current hospital at Kisumu East, and went to primary school in Game and Nairobi. My primary school was at Dr. Livingstone, after which I joined Starehe Boys Center, where I was trained to be what I am today. After Starehe Boys Center, I went to Strathmore College, and from Strathmore College, I was taken then by the government through a scholarship to the University of Lagos, originally University of Zambia, but there were issues there, so I went to University of Lagos, where I trained as a physician, and continued from there to train as a surgeon and urologist. From there I also went to the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland, the Royal Postgraduate Medical School in London at Hammersmith, and much later in life to the Stanford University Graduate School of Business. My trajectory from the medical perspective has been extremely eventful because I started teaching in 1979 at the University of Lagos, and was then requested to come to Kenya in 1987 when the late Professor Wori died. The government was looking for Kenyans abroad, and I was approached and came. At that time, I had to leave a well-earning salary of over 100,000 shillings to come and start earning 6,000 shillings because I thought I had something to offer. On coming to Kenya, I took a job which was basically below what I was expected to do. I started on as a lecturer, but within a year I went on to be a senior lecturer, and passed very quickly through the ranks from 1988 to the year 2000, when I became a full professor of urological surgery. So the vertical trajectory, in 1999, I was tried as a chairman of academic department of surgery as an acting chairman, then later confirmed. And since I'm very firm, even though I was approached to be a dean, I said I was not going to be a dean because I was not going to campaign to anybody. But the staff told me, no, that's precisely why we want you to become the dean. So I became the dean of the Faculty of Medicine in the year 2000. And when I went to the dean's office, it looked like a pigsty. So that's where it started. I basically went to the VC and told him, well, I cannot sit in this office because I am the dean of the Faculty of Medicine. And he said, well, my son, there's no money. I told him, but there's a lot of money out there. You just need to go and look for it. And he said, go and try. 2 weeks later, I was back with 10 million shillings from my Korean colleagues. And then for the first time, I got a bit annoyed with my very good friend and mentor, Professor Kichaga. He said, but you can't build your office until you build that of the principal. So I asked him, but why didn't you tell me before? He said, no, I didn't tell you before because I was sure you were not going to get the money. So it took me another 6 weeks to convince my colleagues there. And I got another 20 million shillings, so together about 30 million. We rebuilt the dean's office, the principal's office, and all the other facilities that go with them. Now, I didn't know that that is what was going to propel me into the administration of the university, because a year later, Gijaga then comes and tells me, no, Professor, you go to the next office as I consult. I passed senior deans who had been there before, and I was principal of the college for 1 year again, before I was told, now come to the main campus, where I was appointed Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of Administration and Finance in the year 2002. And for those of you who are in Nairobi then, I asked the permission of the Vice Chancellor and transformed the parking space and everything else there. And at that time I was being told, why are you beautifying the outside? But that came to pass. When it came to 2004, and we had a new Chancellor who insisted that we had to look for a Vice Chancellor from outside, I personally did not see anything wrong with Professor Kemba. So I told Professor Kemba, I don't think I was going to apply, because as a loyal servant, as I was trained at Starehe Boys Center, you get satisfied with what you have. Kemba told me, no, but Professor, you should also just apply. You never know. So there was an international advert through the international press, and we were shortlisted, and I was the first public Vice Chancellor to be appointed through a competitive process. And I was given then performance targets by Joseph Barage Wanjui, with whom I didn't work very well at the beginning. But when I understood what he was after, and we started working together, the university went to heaven where I left it. Because he then brought the private sector influence in our public universities. I was a man of the cloth, but he brought the business concept. In fact, I now regret he had told me to go to Stanford to study business much earlier. And I said, no, I'm a professor. What do you think I'm going to learn there? But eventually when I went to the University of Stanford and came back, the result is that tower, the University of Nairobi towers that you see there. We did not get money from the bank, and the government did not loan us. It was just pure, prudent financial management. And it was done through a process where at one time we were working 24 hours. At Starehe Boys Center, Mr. Speaker, sir, I was trained never to trust anybody. But that even when you delegate, you never delegate completely. Because if you delegate completely, then you lose control. So even as a team leader, well, Honorable Sankok is nodding because he knows we have a history with him. So I dare say that I have looked like I succeeded where I'm going, but even when you give me a report and say, well, this is what I have done, I will tell you thank you very much. Before I sign it, I will go back and check. So there's a long list of what I have done. I don't want to go through them. When I took over as Vice Chancellor, the university had many stalled projects. They were completed. Perhaps the most important thing I did for Kenya was when I went to Canada to negotiate, to compete for money. It wasn't a loan. We were competing for money with Canadian syndicates of universities and health institutions. And I won, the team that I led won 241 million Canadian dollars. And the result of that can be measured at Kenyatta National Hospital through the level 3 laboratory that is there, which is dealing with research on fevers that like Lassa fever and so on and so forth. My major weakness, Mr. Speaker, sir, is that I start from the end. I start from the goal that I want to achieve and work backwards and make sure that it is achieved. Because throughout my short period in public service, I have found out that processes are so good. The processes are always very good. When you want to measure what you have achieved with that process, there is nothing to measure. So as I come before you, I know, Mr. Speaker, sir, that if I don't have you as part of the team, the larger team, then I shall not deliver. I believe, as I conclude, that in order to deliver, you must empower whoever is working for you or all the people that you are working with. And if you are, by the grace of God, taken to lead them, you must lead from the front and from the back, but by example. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Well, for that introduction, I'll now open the session to my colleagues, who I believe have a myriad of questions. What we'll do is we'll have 3 questions from 3 members. Then you respond, then we take another 3. And there will be another round. I see from this side, the member for Kaviani, the Honorable Robert Mbui, will be the first one on that side. The member for Kamukunji will be the second. And the gentleman with whom you have some history, David Sankok, will be the third, that first round. Honorable Mbui.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Chair, as per the law, we are supposed to figure out, based on the experience of the nominee, whether he fits into the office. Now, from your resume, we know that you've been the chair of the Kenya National Examination Council. And I would like to mention that I know that in management you have to do proper consultation and planning. Now, there's 2 issues that are affecting our candidates, and I would like you to give us your opinion. First one is on the issue of exam registration. We know that over 370,000 candidates this year will be affected from sitting their exams by virtue of the fact that they do not have birth certificates, which is not a problem of their own causing because there is a delay in the issuance of birth certificates. I would like to understand, did you do consultation with the teachers to be able to come up with this directive? And how are you going to handle it? Because the year is rolling and I think the deadline is also passed. On the same issue, when we are doing exams every year, you have, there is these center managers. From your office, you issued directives and regulations that stated that the head teachers or principals would be the center managers. And you also indicated that nobody else would be expected to be in the schooling institution during the time of exams. Now, these are the issues that we've noted, that one of the things is that the principal would be expected to collect exams at 6 a.m. At that time, of course, he's not in the center, so who takes care of the children? Then who transports the material? Who cooks for the learners? Who picks calls for the institution? Who makes payments? So had you thought through that process before you came up with those directives? It's important because this really is also part of what you'll be looking over. Sorry.
Honorable Yusuf Hassan.
Thank you, Chair. I would first of all like to say that I'm looking at your vast experience in training and development, mostly education. If you look at the Ministry of Education now, it is faced with enormous problems in terms of performance, in terms of delivery. There is a big gap between underdeveloped areas of our country that are completely left out of the educational process and the centers. If you were to be selected for this position, what immediate changes would you bring about to make sure that in fact this country works for everybody, the poor, the weak, the peripheries, the underdeveloped, and that we build up our educational system and create a winning nation? The second aspect of my question relates to the problem of corruption. What is your take on that? Now, a number of cases that have come out of serious corruption. in different parts of the government. What do you think is the remedy for that? And how would you tackle it if you are given the opportunity of becoming our Secretary of State for Education? And finally, to that question, is what advice would you give the executive and the government, now since you are coming from outside, on how to address, to prevent and fight corruption in our country? Thank you.
Finally, this first round, David Olesankok.
Thank you, Chair, and let me declare a conflict of interest since he was my dean in the University of Nairobi. As Chair, on that point of conflict of interest, Article 77(1) of our Constitution prohibit a full state officer from participating in any other gainful employment. Prof, you hold positions in public offices like chairpersons of school boards and among other association boards. If appointed, how will you ensure there is no existence of conflict of interest? Chair, again, Article 241(4) of our Constitution, Article 246(4) of our Constitution, Article 250(4) again of our Constitution, and to be specific, Article 132 talk of regional and gender balancing in all the appointments that have been done. And I'm sure now there will be several boards under him. And from the Ministry of Education that will be going, he will be in the same community, come from the same community with the CAS and also the administrative, I think the Director of Administration, that is Ochola. And again, we will be having 3 cabinet secretaries from one county, that is Siaya County. So, in the Ministry of Education, how will he, when he appoints CEOs and chairmen of boards or directors, he will try to balance so that the other part of this nation get also a cake in the Ministry of Education.
Very well. Professor Magoha.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Mike.
I want to say that I also have conflict of interest with Ole Sankok. I was his leader. Today he is my leader, asking me very tough questions. Mr. Speaker, sir, with regard to the question from member for Kathiani regarding NEC, on the issue, let me start very early from this answer that if by the grace of God I am appointed, because I believe that it is God through the President who nominated me, because I don't lobby, I am completely apolitical. I'm a thoroughbred professional, and I will die for it. So if by the grace of God you approve my appointment, I want to start by saying that under my watch, no child will be denied ability to take the examinations. That's point number 1. Point number 2, I strongly believe that we are all serving one government, one people and one government. And through active and continuous consultation, by the grace of God, everything I have touched in the past, I have always succeeded. Failure has never been in my vocabulary. So I don't see a situation where we are not going to be able to ensure that by the time the exam comes, every child in Kenya has a birth certificate and has joined NEMIS, because this is where the government wants us to go. And this I will do by working with my other colleagues in cabinet and by working with you, honorable members of parliament. On the second part of the question, with regard to center managers, I would like to say that when I was appointed chair, originally I was not very keen, because I'm a thoroughbred university person with not much experience in secondary and primary schools. But having been empowered by the government through the president and the minister then, and I believe through you, we decided that the center manager, because what we did was to first of all go across Africa and find out how we can cure examination leakage, which had become a national disaster. And I went around to South Africa, to West Africa, and then I came and found the answer here in Uganda through containers. And Honorable Speaker, sir, I have said that when I say I don't trust anybody, it also means I don't trust myself. So I'm not asking you to trust me. Let us just work. So that was the basis upon which we said, let us remove all other non-important people in the school because we have a problem. We will allow a center manager, and that center manager will stay in the school with his 2 deputies. So with regards to all the other things that the Honorable Member was asking for, the 2 deputies are available there. The cooking can be done, but it is done in the cooking section. There is no need for the cooks to come to the academic section. So because you see, we found out through other sources that even the cooks and the gardeners used to dig next to the class and they are singing answers as the children are taking exams. So we ask ourselves, which is the lesser evil? And Honorable Speaker, sir, it has worked very well because, like I have said, those who are not convinced should measure the impact of what this has done to our children. And for the first time, you are finding children, because God was very kind, I'm a physician, He gave intelligence in equal measure to all the children, irrespective of your wealth and irrespective of where you come from. So as soon as you attempt, like even me, I was from a very poor background, as soon as you attempt to give the very basic minimum, the intelligent ones will show their heads. And they don't have to come from the Magohas of this world, they will come from everywhere else. Mr. Speaker, sir, with regards to the question asked by Honorable Yusuf, God had placed me in an opportunity where I had to deal with the less privileged parts of this country for 10 years. And I think my experience should put you to rest, because if I am appointed, I hope I will be appointed Cabinet Secretary with full powers to implement whatever is required. In my other life, looking at the former northeastern province of this country, I, as Dr. George Magoha, son of Magoha, through requests from many other people, I had the courage to train engineers and doctors from the less privileged people, as long as I was convinced that they were just off by 1 or 2 or 3 points. And so that concept is what I'm going to use here. My only regret, Mr. Speaker, says that even when you give them that access, when they complete, they don't go to their region. They either stay in Nairobi or they go out of the country. On the issue, so I will fight for equity. And if I am blocked, Mr. Speaker, sir, with your permission, if anybody intends to block me from doing what the President wants me to do, then I will say I'm not the correct person to take the job. Because I must treat every Kenyan child as a faceless child, without fear or favor. On the issue of corruption, everybody knows that corruption has reached pandemic levels. I expect that each one of us must play his own part, to the extent that if you are required to earn a wage, you must work for that wage. My courage must be coming from God, because I'm not afraid of anybody. If I find that you are earning money that is not yours, it is a choice that you have made on your own, and you must therefore face the consequences. But having said so, I also believe in giving people second chance, and my experience at NEC has shown me that some of the people we should have at NEC, I was told, go and do 1, 2, 3. We interviewed everybody else, and we found about 100 people whom we would have told to go home. But having served at the University of Nairobi and transformed there, I have noticed that over 95% of them have now been transformed and they have made NEC what it is today. So I'm not going to say, when I meet you and I find you have not been working, you will go. No, I will tell you this is what you have to do. If you can't do it, there are many other people who can do it. So, and the point here is that it will involve all of us, the Honorable Member of Parliament, myself, and the public. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to believe, honorable members of parliament, that I have been nominated here because of what I can offer. If I was nominated here to represent the Jaluos, then I would ask you not to approve my appointment. Because when I take this appointment, I come from a region, right? But if you want me to serve political interest, with all due respect and humility, I am the wrong person for that appointment. I would like to see Kenya as a nation. I would not like to be taken to a silo where you say, well, you represent Siaya. God forbid. And even if you are to ask His Excellency, the President, in his wisdom, I think he knows why he has brought me here. If we are serious that we are a people that want change, then I'm thinking like the President, because what I do personally myself, and you can go to the University of Nairobi the years I was there, when you look for talent in the group, every region will come there automatically. Like I've told you, there's an intelligent person in every community. So the bottom line is ability to perform the task that you want. And even throughout my life during interviews, God forbid, but if you are not able to do the job, excuse me please, it doesn't matter who you are. That is why that's why the University of Nairobi was transformed into what it was. If I had said, let me first of all check, are you a Jaluo? And secondly, do you come from Siaya? That university would never have woken up. The examples I have, for example, my most loyal bodyguard, Mr. To Kiplangat, for 10 years. Why was he not a Jaluo? So I'm not going to be taken to that level. And please don't take me there, because I feel that if I can't serve the nation, then you let me do other things. I can do other things. In terms of regional and gender balance, I am very much aware of the legal requirements, including the people who are living with disability, Honorable Sankok. And I can assure you that I am a warrior in that section. I know that we are required to get at least 5% when you are employing of people with disability. But being disabled is not enough. You first of all must be able to do the task that we want. And I hope I'm talking very strongly here, Honorable Speaker, sir, because if I'm not able to do this, I shall not give you results. And I'm not one of those people who wants to come and stay here for 3.5 years, and then when you say, well, what did Professor leave in the ministry? They are very good processes, but there's nothing you can measure. So I hope together, with your understanding, I should be able to make a difference. Thank you very much.
Looks like Professor has woken up everybody.
Yeah.
Let me begin with...
no, I'm ready.
No, I can see all of you. I can see all of you. Yeah. I can see the Honorable John Bandi, and because there appear to be more on this side, and the Honorable... Now there will be the issue of gender. Rachel Nyamai there, and okay, the Honorable Jimmy Angwenyi on account of age. 3. We start with the Honorable John Bandi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and first of all, allow me to congratulate Professor for the nomination to serve in this ministry. I also want, it's not really a conflict of interest, but just to declare that Professor Magoha was actually my boss when he was the DVC A&F at the University of Nairobi, and I was a senior accountant. Having said that, I have two quick questions. The first one, we are required by law to assess the ability, experience, and qualities. Those are three parameters of a nominee. And looking at your CV, your resume, and your experience, you have the experience, the ability speaks for itself. So I will confine myself to qualities. And number one is the public service that Kenyans can remember about you have been in two places. There are others, but these are standing out. Number one is University of Nairobi, and number two is being the chair of Kenya National Examination Council. There are people who have praised your ability to run or to steer those institutions, but there are also critics. And your critics say that you are too mechanical in your approach to management. When you came to the University of Nairobi, you actually, there used to be a lot of strikes, but the way you dealt with it is like suppression and dictatorship. And you went to NEC, and there were a lot of issues with exams, and you have somehow, it appears to us you have fixed it, but again, or you are among the people who fixed it, but again, there is the feeling that it is mechanical. Now you are going to the Ministry of Education, where you are going to deal with the NAT, KUPPET, and the rest, who are known for strikes. Is it true that you are mechanical in your approach and you will take it to that ministry? And what are we prepared for? Because we also know that NAT and KUPPET are very combative, and the future of our children will be at stake. And what are the long-term measures that you have instituted at NEC that would instill integrity into the system, so that when exits George Magoha, professor, like you are exiting today, then we would be proud that what you started there would continue. Finally, I want to take you to your declaration of your source of income and statement of your net worth. And just quickly, I've picked out two things. Under your income from rent, and this I'm asking you because you're getting into this office and you must be so transparent. 2018, your income from rent was 2,967,690. 2019, it is 1,472,883. And 2019 is only 2 months. Average rent is 700,000. For a whole year, it should be close to 8 million. How come your rental income has jumped all of a sudden? Is there some project, some property that you developed which got completed last year, which is giving enhanced rental income? And if that is the case, where did you get the funding to do that? Finally, on your statement of net worth, statement of net worth should reflect your assets and liabilities. Offset it and get the difference. You are telling us here you have a home in Nairobi and one in Yala. You have buildings in Nairobi, parcels of land and forest in Yala, including domestic animals, motor vehicles, treasury bills, cash in fixed deposit account, and cash in bank, which are estimated at 250 million. I don't know whether it is because of space, but this committee would be interested in a little more details about what you own, so that after 2 years when you're declaring your wealth, we will be sure that either you have increased your wealth acquisition or it reasonably remains within acceptable limits. Thank you.
Honorable Nyamai.
Thank you, Chair. Professor, congratulations for being nominated. I would like to go to a simple matter, about staffing in primary schools and secondary schools. Currently, we have schools that have only 2 teachers. You find a school with a head teacher and a deputy head teacher, and the school has 8 classes. This is a matter that is going to confront you from all parts of the country. We would like you to tell us, now that you have fixed so many things in this country and that you have a lot of experience in education and other areas, how are you going to deal with this? 2 is about Education for Sustainable Development policy for education sector, which was developed in 2017, which is calling for the orientation of education approaches and curriculum, teaching and assessment to address sustainable development. I would like to ask you 2 issues. One is, what is your view about this newly introduced curriculum? We've had some people say it's good, and we've also seen some fears in the ministry. What is your opinion? Then the second one is, what challenges do you expect, and how are you going to deal with this? Thank you very much, Chair.
Finally, Jimmy Angwenyi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks, Professor Magoha. We should thank the President for nominating you and presenting you to us. Professor Magoha, most countries which have moved from third world to first world, countries such as Singapore, Malaysia, China, have one important element, the element of providing appropriate skills to their youth. How are you going to handle this thing, the appropriate technical skills to our people, to our youth, so that they can help this country jump from third world to first world? 2, they have been, it has come to our notice in recent times that some of the universities are offering unapproved programs, and some students have even graduated on those unapproved programs. How are you going to handle that? That there's some students have studied and graduated on unapproved programs. How are you going to handle that? Thank you.
Yeah, over to you, Professor Magoha.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mbadi, for. Oh, I remember you used to be at Kikuyu campus at one time. It is important that I explain to you first and foremost, and I wanted to offer you this book, since it looks like you have not gone through it through the speaker, but I am definitely not mechanical. In the way I work, psychomotor activities must be there. But don't forget that I'm a top grade professor, and that in order for me to achieve what I want, like now I'm going to the ministry, the first thing, if you allow me to go there, would be to study how it looks like. I'm going into a dark room, maybe full of snakes and some other things. I must know what is inside. I don't have to do that in the open. I usually do that in the back room. Most of the consultations are done in the back room. They will even come back to you, because now I'm seeing you are one of the most important stakeholders, since this is a national office. Like I said, if you don't know the problem that you have, then you cannot deal with it. You first of all must know what problem you have, and you use the soft skills to ensure that you consult and you consult and you consult. Like when I was at the university, if I was mechanical, I would never have succeeded. Some of the leaders of the university are in this room, and they can tell you how it became possible for me to work together with the student leaders. For example, when I took over, the student leaders used to come to the VC's office along with their supporters in a group, and I said that has to stop. I am the Vice Chancellor and I'm also a senior member of your society. So if you want to come and see me, please call me. These are my telephone numbers. We shall agree, you are leaders. You select 1, 2, 3 or 4 people who will come and we agree. And if this is what you call mechanical, then that's fine, because what the students wanted, if it is something I can offer, I shall offer it yesterday. If you want 5 buses, I'll tell you I shall not give you because it is not reasonable. If that's what you call mechanical, then I'm mechanical. Even at the ministry, if I go and meet people who are completely unreasonable, because as you take me to serve the Kenyan children, I will be having the map in front of me. There are things I must take into consideration, like the ASAL areas with people with disability. But otherwise, I am going to serve the nation as a whole. That is why it's not that I don't like politics. I just don't want to be part of it. I am a surgeon, and a surgeon's mind works like this. If I'm called that any honorable member has an appendix, I will go, prepare the patient, remove the appendix, and come out. That has helped me in everything else that I have done. So I stay focused. Now, like Honorable Mbadi, I am going to start with the objective that I want. Then involve all the stakeholders in that pathway. Some I shall agree with, some I will not agree with. I don't expect, if we agree with everybody, then one of you must be either a fool or one is cheating. So you have to disagree if you are scholars going towards it. And once you have a reasonable consensus in a team you first of all must empower. You must empower. Like I empowered the students at the University of Nairobi. Like I empowered all the unions at the University of Nairobi. Not through an orthodox means. Like I said, when I say in the back room, I mean you consult the union leaders softly.